Hi, welcome to the final video in my Ways to Make Money as a Freelance Artist series. If you've made it this far, you've watched all previous 8 videos where I go through different slides and talk about all of the 3 main categories I know to make money as a freelance artist. So we talked about client work, and we talked about selling things, and we talked about teaching. And within those 3 categories, we discussed basically all of the different things that I think that you need to know. This course wasn't a deep dive into any of those specific career paths necessarily. It was mostly just a brain dump of all of the different things that I think about and I've researched as I've pursued the freelance life over the past few years. So hopefully it was helpful for you if pursuing freelance art or any other kind of creative career has been interesting for you, or maybe a goal of yours. My main goal for this course was for it to be like a jumping off point for you to know maybe what you didn't know, or for you to get a sense of what you really want to pursue, the different projects that you'd really love to be part of your dream workday. And that was part of the final project of the class, which was basically listing out your dream workday, your dream work project, and all of the different things that you think would fit under that category. So if you're interested in grabbing the PDF for my dream workday worksheet, the link is in the description below, and also the video before this, so part 8 in the series, does a full breakdown of the final project. But now that we're finished, I want you to give yourselves a pat on the back. And I also wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about what happens when you pursue something and it doesn't work. Because I will tell you, as somebody who has tried a lot of different things over the past 3 to 4 years related to art and calligraphy and running a business, you're going to try a lot of things, unless, you're like the outlier who everything that you touch turns to gold. Awesome for you. That wasn't my experience. My experience is that I failed a lot. I tried a lot of different things, and not all of them panned out. For example, it took me a couple years of doing watercolor and doing hand lettering to finally open an Etsy shop. And when I did, the first day went great. But I really think that was partly because I was undervaluing my work. I was underpricing my work. And so I sold a bunch of things, but I was having to do paintings for like $10. And that just wasn't tenable. And then after that, my Etsy shop did okay. It did pretty well, but it definitely wasn't enough to sustain me full time. And I was looking at lots of other people who were selling things like hotcakes, who were just, I don't know, it seemed like everywhere on Instagram I looked, people were having these, 5-figure launches for products that they did, or at least made a few $100s, and I was making like $50, $60 a month. And that's obviously not enough to quit my job and pursue being a maker full time. So I knew that selling things on Etsy, either I was doing something wrong, which at the time that I opened my Etsy shop, I didn't know a lot about marketing, and I didn't know a lot about how to really position myself to attract buyers of my products. So I definitely was doing some things wrong, but I also just didn't love it. I didn't love it enough to pursue learning how to be a seller of products. And so that's something that recently in the past 6 months I've come to understand, is just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And sometimes if you fail at the thing that you've done, at the thing that you've tried, especially as an entrepreneur, as a creative business owner, for me, it's important to think about a few things. First, what are the things that I believe I did right? And so I like to go through my basic checklist, which off the top of my head is like, did I create a quality product? So if I'm selling paintings, do these paintings look cool? Are these paintings something that I would want to buy? Which is something we talk about in the course. If you want to sell something, then you want to make sure that you would want to buy it, not just that it's fun for you to make. And there's a distinction there. So did I make something that's quality? Did I set the price? Did I set the price at the right place. Is it too high? Is it too low? And I'm gonna tell you, it's probably not too high. It's probably too low. And you think that raising your prices is going to make it so you don't get as many customers, but even if that is true, the people who buy low-priced things usually aren't the kind of customers you want, because usually if a person will only buy a handmade item at a very low price, they probably don't value you or your work. And that's something different. I talked about how I'm going to come up with a pricing course soon, and that will probably drop on Skillshare, and that's true. But I think I'll probably do a pricing video or two as well on YouTube. So I think about the price, I think about the quality of the product, and then most important, I think about, okay, so then what did I do to attract my customer? Did I think about my ideal client? Did I tailor my copy to the specific kind of person that I want to buy this? Or did I try to sell it to everybody? Did I have an email list? Did I market it in every place that I can think of? And usually the answer is no. In this course, I can't remember which video off the top of my head right now, but probably one of the selling videos, I talked about how very recently I tried to launch a product, and a product that I thought my audience, which is primarily people who practice watercolor, would really enjoy. I tried to launch watercolor kits, and not that they wouldn't enjoy them, but I launched them, and mind you, I have a substantial following on Instagram over the past few years. And so you'd think that once you have a substantial following on Instagram, that anything you sell is instantly gonna sell out, right? Wrong. I got 0 sales. I launched my watercolor kits. I promoted them on my Instagram stories. I sent them out in my newsletter, which only has a few hundred subscribers on it right now, but still a few hundred subscribers. And I got crickets. I didn't sell a single one at the price that would be tenable for me to keep going. So that was a big bummer. And looking at why that didn't work for me, I didn't market them well. I didn't come up with a campaign. I didn't prepare people to buy the thing that I wanted to sell. I basically just threw something at them and expected them to catch it. And worse than catch it, I expected them to throw money back at me. And that isn't the way that you're supposed to, build trust with your audience and your clients and come up with and build a relationship with long-term customers. I didn't come up with a plan. I just kind of threw something together and it didn't work. I didn't put in the work and I needed to. And so then I thought about, well, okay, so next time I'll put in the work. And then I realized I don't want to sell watercolor kits. I don't like, for me as a person and as a business owner, selling physical products is not nearly as satisfying as doing other things that make me more money, like making classes and making content. And so I think that is one of the biggest takeaways for me over the past year is if something doesn't work, maybe think about whether or not it should, or whether or not it's something that you actually want to pursue. If you're really passionate about selling enamel pins and the first time you try to sell them, you get little to no sales, but you still really want to have a go at it, then do it. Think about all the ways that you could have done better in launching your campaign and attracting customers. And even if the first few months you try to sell things, it doesn't work out, if you create consistent content and reach out to people in smart and effective ways, you will get your audience. You just have to be patient and have to want to work for it. But if you don't want to work for it, then try something else. And I think that's the point for me of this class is, and going back to why I created this class in the first place, when I made my list of ways to make money, it was easy to cross off lots of the ways to make money because they weren't things that I was passionate about. I knew that I could probably make some money from them, but every method that you use to build income as a business owner and a creative entrepreneur is going to take work. It's going to take effort, even if, especially if you're trying to build up passive income streams while building up passive income streams yields you money in the future. You still have to put the work in at the beginning. Like, making a class and building a curriculum for a class isn't just easy. But I really love it. I love making things, and I love painting, and I've loved the past 3 or 4 years of exploring this new world that I've been in, this art calligraphy world. But just as much as I love painting something, I love explaining how to paint it to someone. And I love coming up with techniques that are easy to learn. I like thinking about the ways that I learned how to do something and how to improve it from that way. And I especially love seeing that light bulb switch on in my students' minds when they finally just get something, when it clicks. I think that's one of the most, I just get such a high from it. And so I know because of that, I want to put in the work. And so teaching is the way, and creating content that people really love and they want to save. That's the thing that drives me and motivates me. And I wouldn't have come to that realization if I hadn't have tried all of the other things first. And that might sound silly, but it's true. I really needed to try and fail at selling products in order to figure out what my true calling, I think, is. And so those are just some thoughts I had. Before I close, I will say one other thing about failure. It sucks, man. It sucks so much to try something and to put your heart into it, and especially if it's creativity based. Basically, you're putting your whole heart and soul into a product or whatever thing you're trying to sell. And it just is the worst when nobody wants it, or when it seems like nobody wants it. And so let yourself feel that. It's okay to feel bummed, but it's also important to tell yourself that that feeling isn't going to last forever. And if you keep at it and keep being smart about it, and keep researching and keep finding new ways to sell things, and make it your business to figure out how other people sell things, and make it your business to do your research on all of these things, then I know that you can make a living doing this. Can't promise that you're going to make millions of dollars, because I'm certainly not. But I know that if you keep at it and you stay consistent, and you remember that just because your product failed doesn't mean that you're a failure, then you can do this. And I just, I believe in you. And if you ever need somebody to cheer you on or give you a little pep talk, you know where to come. So thank you once again for joining me for this YouTube series. I can't wait to keep creating even more YouTube content and hopefully getting better at making YouTube videos. I know my editing skills aren't up to par quite yet, but I intend to change that. 2020 is going to be my year. So thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you next time. Hi, thank you so much for joining me in this video of my Ways to Make Money as a Freelance Artist series. I had such a fun time making this for you, and I can't wait to make you even more content. So if you like what you see, or if you liked any of my, I have some watercolor tutorials as well, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because that's the best way to support YouTubers that you want to continue making content for you. And if you want to view any of the other videos in this Ways to Make Money series, make sure to check the description below this video. It has a full course schedule that details when the rest of the classes will be released, and if they've already been released, then it will have links to those classes as well. So thank you again for joining me, and can't wait to see you next time.